So one of the early signs that I would say is very common, people just feel, oh, I feel trapped. I feel angry. I feel sad. Maybe something traumatic happened to them, and they're just not able to get over it. Maybe they lost someone, for example, or maybe they lost their jobs, right? Or maybe they lost a relationship, right? Maybe they lost, you can just name it. Grief can be anything, right? And they're just locked in there. They're not able to process it. Okay. Yeah, that is very common, right? There's also the case of, somebody just has that fear that would not go away. There's that panic attack. There are those palpitations, right? There's that sense of hopelessness. I have everything. I've got my car. I've got everything. But I still feel not fulfilled. I still feel like I'm stuck. I feel like I'm in a box. There are different things, that people, or you have some people who say, oh, there's this repetitive behavior that I do, right? Maybe I'm constantly cleaning, you're talking about the likes of the OCDs, right? Then you also have people who, will have the extreme mood, right? Yeah, the people who are probably dealing with the bipolar. But then don't just say, oh, because I'm seeing these signs, that means I'm this. No. Please do not self-diagnose yourself. Do not. Help. Yeah, seek help. Seek help. Seek help.
Okay, this is a lot to take in. Again, because you've said people grieve in different ways for different things, and then how important is it to deal with trauma, nip it in the bud, so that it doesn't escalate into becoming a mental illness?
So first and foremost, I would say breathe. Breathe, okay? Be gentle with yourself. A lot of times we're very hard on ourselves. You've just lost someone. Give yourself time to grieve. Okay, if you need to cry it out, it's okay. And then nobody should be able to describe to you or tell you how to grieve. Right? So if you need to cry about it, for some people you say them, they're crying about it. For some people it's withdrawal. Right? For some people, they become, they just get busy, Now, some people could be like, why is this person supposed to be grieving? Why is this person behaving like this?
And we see that a lot on social media.
Exactly, but then that's just how the person is processing it, right? But if you see that you are not able to deal with your feelings, with your emotions, with your relationship, how you treat people, how you react, then it's time to speak with someone. Not just anybody, speak with a professional, and help is available. Like, it's available.
There's also a feeling of just being numb.
Yes, there is. There is that feeling of being.
At what point do you think it's becoming a problem?
Okay, when the moment you feel that you're not yourself, and you've tried to navigate it, you're unable to, then you should ask for help. Yes, and I always like to say this. I notice that the people that actually struggle with these things the most are people who are the supposed strong people. Yeah, so just because you're strong does not mean you cannot ask for help. And good thing is when people go into counseling, there's that confidentiality, where you're sure that your conversation is kept safe, right? Then also, for example, like one of the things I do is to create awareness around these issues, right? So I talk about this issue because sometimes people don't even know what they're dealing with. A practical example is this depression a lot of women deal with after giving birth. Right, you see a woman, she's just giving birth and she's not having that connection with her child, and people are wondering like, why are you feeling like this? You should be grateful, you should be happy, and all of that, and people are just judging you. Now they are doing that because they don't even know any better, right? But from conversations, from talking about it, you can be like, oh, that thing she just explained. Oh, I felt that. Oh, I felt that. And then I've had people, maybe we talk about different things. Maybe people who are, for some people who are in the relationship with narcissists. Some of them. There was a period I was talking around that, and then like, oh, I can identify with this and this and this you said. And then they came in for talk therapy. And then you even have some people. There was a period I spoke on depression. right? And I was speaking about the symptoms, what it looks like, because I try to make it very practical. Yeah, so people can really, really understand, because the knowledge gap is still, you know, it's still very wide. It's still very wide.
You mentioned talk therapy, and because on this side again, we are not big on going for counselings or seeing a therapist. So how affordable is it on this side?
Okay, I would say it's actually affordable, right? You know, it's just like healthcare. You know, you can get it affordable and you can get it expensive. It depends on where you go to. Yeah, and I know that there are also platforms that even give these things for free, right? You know, so sometimes people don't have the information, and sometimes people still have that, oh, I can't come out. Oh, how would they perceive me? Oh, they will now think I cannot, they will now think I'm ill, you know. So you still have that hold back, you still have that fear, you still have, you know, even people judging other people, right? You have cases in offices where you still have maybe some line managers saying, oh, please, this guy cannot deal with him, he has so many, you know, mental health related issues, please, I don't want, you know, you have people stigmatizing and saying those sort of things, right? So those are that's why we need to keep the conversation going, so people understand that. So just like you can have headache, you can have stomach pain, and then you know what to do. Yeah, so people should be able to also access, you know, care without stigmatization when it comes to mental health.
Are there cases where there might be a need to add medications, taking medications to therapy? Are there, or is it on different levels? Oh
yes, it is medications. You're probably happy to speak with a psychiatrist, you know, and you know, those who are more medically inclined, you know, than the counselors, you know, who are majorly dealing with the talk therapy.
So for someone who cannot afford the talk therapy now, for someone who cannot afford, because again, I mean, these things are no respecters of persons or positions or your pocket. And for someone who cannot afford a therapist, what are the practical coping mechanisms that you would recommend?
Okay, all right. Before I answer that question, I would like to mention something. You know, a large number of organizations, you know, enroll their employees for HMO and the likes, right? Do you know that a lot of HMOs offer, you know, the employee assistance program? A large number, and we can do this research. A large number of people don't access that particular care. Yeah, so just before you think and assume that you cannot pay for it or you cannot access it, you know, check, you know, with your HMO, does it offer this service, right? If they do, you know, that's, you know, you can actually, you know, access it through that way. But if you cannot, one thing I say, support system. Support system. Do not isolate yourself. You know, personally, I don't think God wanted us to operate in isolation. Yeah. You know, so do not live in isolation. You know, have, you know, your support system, your friends. You know, you as we grow up, a large number of time, people keep to themselves. You know, don't be in a hurry to cut people off. Most times we're in a hurry to just cut people off. We just go to work, from work we go home. If we have to maybe go to a religious place of worship, we just go and then we come out. No, we're supposed to relate with people. You know, sometimes just sharing, you know, can actually, you know, give you that relief. Yeah, and then sometimes somebody just being there, you know, sometimes just a hug, right, can go a long way, you know. But then it's also important that, you know, even as friends, right, we are able to be that support, you know, for our friends. Right, and sometimes like there was a particular time somebody was sharing, you know, and then she was like that one of the things that helped her, you know, while she was depressed was, you know, she calling her childhood friends, you know, and them reliving their childhood, you know, reminding her of, you know, how their childhood was, what kind of person she was before she is this grown adult, you know. And she was like, okay, it helped her rediscover herself. You know, it helped her align with the girl that was there, you know, and then she was not getting it back. Because let's be factual, dealing with daily life challenge, responsibilities, bills, and all of that can lock us up, but having that support system, right, having your friends, people who have your back, is important. And don't let it be parasitic. What do I mean? Don't just be sucking from people. Also be that friend, also be that support, yeah.
Also be a support system
Yes.
too. Okay, again, I want us to talk about the issue of stigma
Yes.
in our society, because again, a lot of reasons, a reason why most people withdraw to themselves is because of stigma.
Yeah.
Or if I tell him what I'm going through, or if I tell her what I'm going through, he will stigmatize.
Yeah.
Or they'll begin to talk about me, and and all that. And that, I think that's one of the reasons why people just decide to just stay in their shells. I'd like you to address stigma in the society, and how can we help to better relate more with one another, especially those who are dealing with mental health challenges.
Okay. All right. So first and foremost, I would like to say that we must understand that these things can happen to anyone. And just because, you are in a good place today does not mean you cannot experience that, that persistent hopelessness tomorrow, right? So it can happen to anyone. And just because it's happening to this person does not mean that your own life is great. So sometimes it could be just understanding, and being patient with them. It would really go a long way. So for example, you have friends who are, probably dealing with bipolar, for example, so when they are probably, having to navigate, those symptoms when it's very, very obvious, you don't shut them out. You don't judge them. You don't talk about them. You don't gossip about them. You don't try to abuse them or any of such, or even if it's your staff. You don't try to label them. You provide support. Sometimes all you have to do is just listen. Sometimes it's just be kind to them. Sometimes it could be even just buying them lunch, sitting with them, right? So all of that really, really, it really goes a long way. Yeah. Then when we also talk about stigmatization, interestingly, sometimes stigmatization even happen even within the family. You can deal with outsiders, but when it is coming from your family, it's a different ball game altogether. But what I would just like to say is, first and foremost, understand that they don't know any better. If they knew better, they would treat you better. Okay, so it's important that we know that. Then also there's this permits me to use this Yoruba word that I always tell people, especially if the person is a Yoruba person. I always say there's this thing of tenito de lari mo tenitombo, meaning it's your own that has come now. That we know. We don't know which person's own is coming next. So if your story is flying around, at the moment, if they're talking about you, don't take it too hard. Right? It's a phase, it's gonna pass. Okay, and just navigate through it. And then also life is beautiful. It throws all of us challenges. It's beautiful. It throws everybody challenges. Yeah, so just because they're laughing at yours, hey, they have theirs as well. Theirs may not just be yours. So take your challenges, with in good faith, navigate it, ask for help, be patient with yourself, and live life. Like they say, make lemonades out of the lemon. Yeah,
beautiful there. Okay, I want you to also talk about the roles of the religious organizations now, because we tend to spiritualize a lot of things here, and sometimes it might be seen as, when one is going through these mental health challenges, they see it as, oh, you are being weak in faith, or you are backsliding. They do not want to understand what is going on. But how do they come in now to really understand this? And because again, there are people who their members or followers listen to, and they hold a place of authority in their lives. So what are your expectations for someone who's in this field? And what roles do you think that these religious leaders should play?
Okay, so I would say first and foremost, the religious leaders need to, understand some of these things. But unfortunately, we don't have control over other people. So I normally don't even like to stress, on the reactions of other people. What you have control over is you.
Yeah.
So understanding that, yes, this person may be my papa or my mama, he may be spiritually grounded, but does this person understand, this mental health, challenges or concerns? Does this person understand it? The person may not understand it. Okay, and just because you're going through it does not mean that God is angry with you. No, I know a lot of really religious people, who have, different mental health concerns, and they are serving God. They are doing wonders, but then they understand, you get that there is that difference. So understanding that they may not know better, okay, and also most importantly, also knowing God for yourself. I believe that also goes a long way. For the Christians, I will speak for the Christians because as I'm more, familiar with that religion. There's the place of the Holy Spirit, right, that you're able to also speak to. You'll be so surprised, how it can help. So understand that just because he's my pastor, just because he's my imam, does not mean that he knows everything. Yes.
Another thing I want you to touch on, because this conversation will not be complete if we do not talk about it, teenagers.
Okay.
And that's the that teenage age is where you have hormones flying here and there, and they can't even understand their feelings. So how do you support children, teenagers who may not even understand what they are feeling and are going through mental health challenges?
Okay. So first and foremost, you can't give what you don't have. So as adults, as parents, as aunties, uncles, we must even understand and acquire the knowledge, before we pass it on to them. Then most importantly, we have to be patient with them. Then we need to relate with them from the point of their age. So for example, I like to give this example. Imagine we have maybe like a 2-year-old on this table, and then the 2-year-old is jumping, is shouting, right? For all the 2-year-old knows, I'm playing. It's play. Now you that you're an adult, you're probably shouting on the child, come down, get down. Now you're shouting and the child is wondering, why is she shouting? Now you're looking at it with the adult eye that this child can't fall. The child is looking at it from the angle of, I am playing. You understand? So there's no, the child would cry, if you continue to shout. Do you have the interest of the child at heart? Yes. But because the way you actually delivered it, you've put fear in that child, and the child is wondering, why is she being extra? Right? But if we try to explain, oh, you're jumping at that, you could fall there, you could hurt yourself. Right? We are patient enough to actually explain. Unlike the way we were raised, where it is or they will tell you if you touch a boy, you get pregnant. So we must break it down. And then social media and access to internet, has even made things, to change. So if you're not telling them the truth, you're not addressing it, they will learn it somewhere else. So we must have these conversations. We must be patient with them. Then we must also learn how to communicate in a way that they will understand.
All right. What are lifestyles that, good habits that you can share that can help one keep healthy mental health?
I would say work. I mean, work is like what is easy for a large number of people. Because for some people like, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym. Take a walk. You're in the office sometimes, stand up, walk around. Walk around, say hello there and there. You've distracted yourself, right? Take a pause. Take a pause, just breathe. Breathing exercise helps to calm, helps to calm our minds, right? Then also meditations, right? Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you can play some really nice sounds that calms your mind, or even at night before you sleep. It helps your mind to rest. It helps your body to rest, right? So there's the exercise that keeps your mind alert, that keeps you active. Then also there's the boundaries. There's the boundaries. You have to set very healthy boundaries, because for some people, they will constantly trigger you. They will constantly remind you of what you don't want to be reminded, right? So we must understand that we need to apply boundaries. And in applying the boundaries, sometimes we have to be firm. But it's important that we communicate it. Okay, and then we must also get rid of that guilt, because sometimes, we've put in the boundaries, we know we need to, but because of where we're coming from and because of who we are, right, we feel guilty, like, how can I just block this person like that? You understand? But the person is actually affecting you, right? For some people, you may need to block some numbers, maybe for like a bit, and then you feel better, you unblock. Right, and then, it could be listening to music. For some people, it actually, really, really helps. Yeah, then for some people too, it's going in for therapy, right? Journaling. I'm very big on journaling, inking your thoughts. Inking your thoughts, so it helps you to, I see inking your thoughts, that's journaling. I call journaling inking your thoughts. I see it as a way of you stepping out of yourself, and viewing yourself. So you write it down and then you're reading it, you're going through it, right? You're able to critique it, you're able to, look through it. Oh, okay, is this what I feel? You're actually able to think over it. Yeah, so it's endless. There's so many things. Then, lastly, this one is important. Please, support system. Especially as adults, you cannot go wrong with that, but you have to make sure that you have the right people in your circle. Really key. And pamper them, nurture those relationships. Yes, don't forget their birthdays. Yes, don't forget their birthdays. Sometimes just reach out to them. Sometimes send them data, send them small gifts. Valentine is coming, get them something. Thank you for adding to my life. You are that friend that I dial anytime I need to rant. I don't know about the men, but for us women, sometimes you just want to rant. You rant and then you feel better, right? So, those little things goes a long way. Yeah.
All right. Just as before we wrap up, how important is prioritizing your peace in your work with maintaining a healthy mental health lifestyle? And for someone who is dealing with these challenges that we've talked about earlier, what are some of the ways that he or she can cope?
Okay, so I would say it starts with you understanding that you're responsible for your actions. So when you know that you're responsible for your actions, and you also understand that I can't control the next person, but I can control what this person gives to me, but I can control if I'm going to receive it or how I'm going to react. You have all of that control, right, in you. So you want to make sure that you focus on that, right? And you want to make sure that you're not dwelling on things, so much. And when you need to ask for help, you're not ashamed to ask for help. You understand that asking for help does not mean that I'm weak, right? Absolutely. Yeah, it shows that, I love myself enough. Yes, and you see this life, right? Whether we like it or not, we're here for life. Life is short. Now, when I say life is short, it means the faces is short. Like when you were in secondary school, was for a short face. When you were in uni, was for a short face. When you were, and each face, is short. And once you're off that, you can't go back there. Yeah. So while you're there, live it, write your story, right, and make sure that you don't want to wake up someday and then you're 80 and you're thinking through your life and you realize, oh, I don't even know myself. Yeah, so boundaries are important. Your peace, right, is important. Also, so that it does not get to a point where you are living someone else's life, right? Because sometimes people have become other people. They become what people have made them to be, right? So, going for your peace, it's important.
That boils down to self-awareness.
Yes.
Very key. Mental health is no longer a silent issue. And again, if you need help, please seek help.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Imofe
you.
Onifade, for sharing insight on this topic, management of mental health challenges. She is a mental health educator and counselor. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. The program continues shortly. Stay with us.